Hello, Mr. Warwick. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
It's been a long week. Yeah, glad the weekend's about to arrive.
Yeah,
Even more glad we've got an Almighty show coming up as well.
we have indeed. We've got a few of them coming up.
Yeah, but Glasgow's the only one that matters.
Well,
No, no, that's not fair. That's not fair. We have to pander to the Cambridge and the Wolves fans as well to be absolutely fair.
yeah, we do. But looking forward to them all.
I'm going to hark back a little bit. Last time we chatted to you was in 21, um,
Right?
February 2021, and it was just about the time that when Life Was Hard was about to come out. So we're chatting more
Right.
about that
Okay.
album now.
Yep. Yep. Still in the
Um,
midst of the pandemic.
Yep. So written, recorded, and then finally came out. And again, quality album, as we expect
Thank
from
you.
yourself.
Thank you.
Um, but during that interview, and I'm building up to something here because I think you owe me something. During that interview, I asked you at the tail end, what's the chances of an almighty reunion? And to be fair, you used that wonderful phrase, which has come up quite a bit recently, never say never. But realistically, it's not going to happen because it's in the past and we had a wonderful chat about some wonderful memories. And then a year later, what do you go and announce? Three dates. Now, where's my cut? That's basically what I'm asking. Because obviously, I gave you the idea. I mean, it must have been me because nobody else ever asked.
Well, I'll be honest with you. We'd known that we were going to reform almost 2 years before we announced it.
You bad man. You fibbed to
We
me.
knew we were waiting for the pandemic to subside, obviously, but the
Yeah.
idea was pretty much hatched in 2021. And we knew that the pandemic was coming to an end. We knew 2022 would be crazy with everybody, and their dog wanting to go on the road.
Yeah.
So we sat down with our management and said, right, we're going to do the Almighty. Let's do it in 2023.
Mhm.
And that was the plan. So we had to sit. We didn't know. We know all four of us knew the band was reforming, but we couldn't say anything for almost 18 months.
I just love the way during the interview because I
Keep
went
it
back and looked at
quiet.
it. I went back to and rewatched the interview just to see exactly what it was you said and used the phrase "never say never." And then, let's say,
Yeah,
when you were kind of announcing it, but not quite announcing it, you had the
yeah,
band logo with "Never Say Never" written on
that's
the
it. Yeah,
across the front.
yeah, yeah.
See, have you got that one tattooed on you anywhere by any chance?
I haven't. No, I'm running out of room. So, and they kind of hurt a bit more as you get older as well. So I'm not know if I'm going to get any more, but that's one of the few album titles or slogans I haven't got on me.
But don't tell me about the pain thing because I'm thinking about getting more and I've just hit 50. So don't tell me it hurts more. It's bad enough when I was 25.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I had some work done last year, and I remember getting it done and going, I don't remember it being as sore as this. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just getting a wuss in my old age. I don't know.
So, well, I'll take a sidestep. It's not something I'd listened to ask you about, but I just realized you have many tattoos. What was your first?
Yeah. The first one I've got is a Celtic shield design on my right arm, which I got when I was in New Model Army,
Yep.
from the legendary tattoo artist called Mickey Sharps, who's very, very famous in the tattoo world.
Mm.
And Justin and Jules from New Model Army took me down to pay him a visit in Birmingham. Got way back in 1987. So that was the first one I ever got.
Wow.
And then obviously I had the bug and I was off.
Yeah. So what was your most recent one? Have you had something touched up or have you had any
I
cosmetic work?
had the most recent one. You know, the most recent one. It's really funny. I had a couple done last year. I had a drawing of a leprechaun that my daughter did when she was 6. I've had that tattooed on my leg, and then
Fantastic.
I had my father's name tattooed on my neck, because he would have hated it, but secretly loved it. But I had the most recent one. I had Almighty written across the bottom of my back in like big old English style writing, and I never got the done. It just said Almighty, and the reason I never got the done was the guy that was tattooing me was a mate of mine. I was living in London at the time, and this is going back 1998, so going back 25 years, and he was tattooing me, and we had tickets to go and see Motorhead that night at Brixton,
Mhm.
and he's like, "I'm not going to get this finished in time." I said, "No, man, I'll just come back in. We'll get I'll call back in. And we got to go. We got to go to the gig."
Mhm.
So I went to the gig and I just never got round to getting it finished or going back in until last year when I was in LA. And I thought, with the Almighty being active again, I've got to really get this tattoo finished. I have to get the added onto the tattoo. So I had that added last year after 23 years of finally getting around to getting it done. I did. So that was the last one I had.
That's it. Have you got a particular favorite on there?
I've got my daughter's names tattooed on my hands, which is lovely. So every time I look down at my hands, I see their names, and that's obviously really special to me. I really love the leprechaun that my daughter did that's on my leg as well. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just timeless. So it's great to have that on there. I mean, they're all pretty special. They've all got some kind of meaning to me in one way or the other.
Yeah, fantastic. Going back to the music side of things, you are a busy gentleman, as we're aware. You've got your solo music, you've got Thin Lizzy slash Black Star Riders. The most recent release you had was Black Star Riders last year. You had
Yeah,
Side of
yeah,
Paradise come
yeah.
out.
Wrong Side of Paradise came out at the start of 2023. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you actually look at all the music you've produced, it's actually come on a fairly regular basis. It looks quite prolific, but it's every couple of years you've had an album. But it's surprising when I went back and you realize how long the Almighty's been around. 7 albums partly seems like a lot, and then partly seems like not a lot until you look at how you've been as a band and burned bright, but for a short while initially, and then come back on 3 separate occasions now. Um, have you got any thoughts? And I know you said never say never about this one before.
Mm.
Are there any thoughts about some new Almighty material?
I mean, we've thought about it, we've talked about it. I mean, that's again taking it one step further. I mean, coming back and playing live is one thing, but to suddenly go in and write new material, there's a lot of ifs and buts. It would have to be amazing. Do we have the appetite to write any new stuff? Would it be relevant? Could we still do it? All those are, questions that spring to mind. We've just really got our sort of getting back in the game playing live, and we're feeling good about that, and we're really enjoying it. And I think we'll see how these shows progress next week. We've got some plans for next year, but who knows? Who knows? I wouldn't rule it out. I definitely wouldn't rule it out, but when and where that will be, I don't know.
Okay. Have you messed around with anything at all? Or is it just
Not
something?
really. No, we haven't. No, we've just been really concentrating on learning the songs, and we've been rehearsing. But and the way the Almighty writes, and the way, for me personally, I think the other guys would feel the same. We work best when we're all together. So I know now that you can obviously write remotely, and a lot of people do. I've done it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that'll work for the Almighty. We're very much a band of where we need to get together, for a week in a rehearsal room and just riff it out and jam and play. That's always worked, served us really well in the past, and I wouldn't like to change that. There's obviously a lot of costs involved with that because we all live in different places, so that would be a factor as well.
Yeah.
But we'll see, we'll see. I mean, right now it's fun and the shows are going well and the vibe's good. So I think it's just the old cliches, one step at a time. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. I mean, it was quite a surprise out at, well, obviously you played the trio of dates last year. And as
Yeah.
a Bloodstock this year, kind of knowing that your gigs were coming up, you were going to be doing this again. And then I saw the
Yeah.
tour poster, and it wasn't just 3 dates. It was like, oh, there's 6 dates. They're playing. Wait a minute, that's next year. It's really unusual to see a band actually promoting stuff that far in advance. 3 dates followed by 3 dates next year. So,
Yeah. Well, we had the idea. It was our manager's idea, which is a great idea to play. The Barrowlands obviously is a gig that holds a lot of sentiment for the band, and obviously the band, being Scottish, that's the holy grail of gigs for us.
mm,
And our manager manages the band Stiff Little Fingers, who've played in St. Patrick's Day,
yeah,
Barrowlands for the last 30 odd years,
yeah,
and he said, why don't you guys do St. Andrew's Day every November?
yeah,
So that's what we're doing, and we've got obviously this year, and we've got next year booked as well.
mm,
And I've no doubt in my mind, if things go well, we'll probably book the next couple of years on St. Andrew's Day,
yeah,
and just make that a thing. The Almighty at Barrowlands St. Andrew's Day, that's set in stone. That's a thing, and I think it's great and it's lovely. Three of the guys obviously Scottish. Me moving to Scotland from Northern Ireland, and half my family being Scottish. Scotland is very, very much a big part of my life as well. So it's lovely to be able to do this on St. Andrew's Day.
yeah. I noticed they've not put anybody on St. George's Day. Funny that, really, isn't it? But um,
Well, that wouldn't really work with the four of us.
yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Um, But the shows we've got coming up, we'll be looking at a nice mixture because last year you had a little bit from here, a little bit from there, the obvious classics. Are you making it a big effort to change the set list?
Yeah, we are, and we've changed that. We've changed out, about I think 5 or 6 songs we've changed out. Obviously, the songs that we know we have to play and we want to play, and what people expect to hear,
Yeah,
they'll always be in the set list. But there's certainly another 4 or 5 that we can play around with every time, and we intend to do that. So we've changed it up a little bit this year.
yeah.
And I'm really, I mean, we've been rehearsing at home, and we've been going through the set list, obviously, with each other on Zoom calls and stuff like that. We get into rehearsals on Monday.
Mhm.
But I think it's a really good set list. I've been running through it at home, and it sounds great, and I'm excited about it. There's a couple of songs on there that we haven't played in a very long time that we'll be playing. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. I know a couple of people as well. A photographer who's going, it's the first time he's had a chance to photograph you as well.
Oh,
The
cool.
chap, Gary last year has allowed one of the newbies to take a shot as well. He's looking forward to that. I'm taking a friend of mine who's
Oh,
never seen you live before as well. So there's a couple of first timers
amazing.
there.
Love it. Love it.
So it's nice to see a band that, wow, must be third, no, 1988 you formed. So I mean,
Yeah,
band is
88.
that
So
old, still pulling new
yeah,
fans in.
yeah, 30, 35 years, right?
Wow.
36 years. God.
Yeah, 24. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
crazy.
it is. It's absolutely nuts. But as well as the dates, your little trio of dates as well. You played the Steelhouse last year as well.
Good, yeah, we did. And I'm sure there might be an announcement next year. We'll wait and see, but I'm sure there will be something there as well.
Mhm.
We're going to Japan in January. We haven't been in, for 3 shows, which is great. We're just selective about what we're doing. Like I said, we want to keep it fresh. We don't want to be, hey, the band's back, we've reformed, here's an album, we're going on tour again, because
Yeah.
none of us really want that. And I think we want to just keep it special, and just do selected shows,
Mhm.
uh, and just see how it goes.
Yeah. And you've got other commitments as well. As I mentioned before, you got Black
We
Star.
all do, we're all busy, not just me. Everybody else has other stuff going on out
Mhm.
with the band, and so that obviously has to be taken into consideration whenever we're planning anything.
Mhm. Yeah, there's seem to be quite a few musicians these days that are bouncing between different acts and filling in places and so forth, and moving between bands and touring and support. But you've
Yeah,
had
well, the
no,
other, I mean, apart from Andy Tantrum, who like runs a studio, um, you know, Stumpy, Stumpy's been a tour manager for the last 30 years, and Floyd hasn't been in the music industry at all.
yeah.
So, the, very different lives out with the band. So, coming together and playing again is quite a novelty for some of the guys.
Yeah. And to be fair, seeing you last year on stage, it was one of those situations where you could see the band were enjoying it at least as much as the audience. The
Oh
smiles.
man, yeah, we're having a blast. We really are, and the chemistry's still there. I mean, we went into rehearsals last year, and we played the first song, and it was just like we'd never been away. I mean, I know it's cliche to say that, but we hadn't, and we just played it straight through, and it sounded great, and it felt great. The guys are all great players; they're phenomenal musicians,
Yeah.
and that's never in doubt. So I knew going in that it was going to be good, but obviously you still want to. You're a little bit worried: is it going to gel? Is it going to be a vibe there? And there was that in abundance. So it's just great.
Yeah. It's particularly special because it's the original lineup as well. That was the big selling point.
Yeah, and that lineup was only really around for, sort of 4 years, 3, 4
Yeah.
years. Andy, we parted with Andy at the end, well, start of 1992.
Mm.
So we did a lot in those first few years. We toured a hell of a lot, and obviously put out
Yeah.
the 2 records.
Mm.
Um, but a lot of people would really know the major success of the band from sort of Power Tripping and Crank era.
Yeah.
That's when the band was obviously at its height.
Yeah. Have you been tempted to ask one or two of the other guys that were in the band to maybe join on stage with you?
Not really. No, I mean, because I think when we wanted to try and get the original lineup back together when we were talking about it. Just because it's the original lineup. It's just we're all still here, thankfully. We're all still
Mm.
fit, thankfully. And I think when a band reforms and you have as many originally got of the original people involved, it's always a little bit special. And that's no disrespect to him. Pete's obviously a huge part of the family, Pete Friesen,
Mm.
and he had a huge integral part to play in the Almighty success.
Yeah.
But I think the initial idea was let's reform a band, let's try and do it with the four guys that started the band.
Mhm.
The four guys that started the band in Straven, and that was really where I think our heads were at.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, it's for anybody who's watching who's never heard of Straven before, it's now a quite large town.
It
Not
is.
well,
It's
it's a huge
grown
town.
insanely in the last 30 years from when we first started, when
Yeah.
I was living in, when we first started playing.
Yeah. It used to end at the golf course, and now the golf course is
It
like,
is, well, it's
uh,
got you know yourself. It's not. It's a big commuter town now,
yeah.
and so it's 20 miles from Glasgow, and it's
Mm.
you're 45 minutes. You're in Glasgow city centre, so it's like a lot of these towns now, a lot of new housing and a lot of redevelopment. For good or for bad, whichever way you look at it.
Yeah.
But it's a big town now.
It is, and it's worth visiting. Just if anybody is touristing their way through Scotland, it's bigger than it used to be. It's still nice. It's got a lovely park.
The park is one of its crowning glories, Striven Park. Many a good night spent in there with Buckfast wine and various girlfriends over the years, and hanging out there and getting into fights and all kinds of mischief that you get up to in a good Scottish park.
Yeah, I'm sure if you look hard enough, you'll find a tree carved with Ricky Warwick was here
Yeah.
from
Oh,
1987.
I hate to think, but no, many a freezing cold night spent in there with a bottle of Bucky.
To be fair, growing up there myself in my teens wasn't a lot else to do, to be honest.
Oh, did you grow up in Striven? Did you?
Only for a couple of years. I was there for about
Right.
1981, 82-ish, something like
Upright,
that.
yeah. Well,
About
that's
two or three
well.
years.
I moved there in 1980, so yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there wasn't a lot to do back then. There really wasn't. There was
yeah.
nothing. I mean, we didn't even have a kebab shop, did we? The nearest one was Hamilton.
I don't think I even knew what a
You
kebab
used
shop
to, you
was.
used to come out of the pubs and you were starving, and you'd try and get somebody to drive you into Hamilton to get a kebab.
Yeah, yeah, 20-minute
Yeah,
drive, 20 back. Yeah,
yeah,
wasn't going to happen.
yeah.
Last couple of questions. Just as I said, you're a busy person. You got your solo, you got your Black Star Riders. Barring the Almighty stuff, what's next from yourself? Have you got any more solo stuff coming up with the Fighting Hearts, maybe? Or
Yeah, I mean, we've got the album coming out on March 14th. There's a couple of singles coming out prior to that, and then we go out on the road with Stiff Little Fingers with the Fighting Hearts in March around the UK, and that's front loaded and bookend by two shows, two headline Fighting Heart shows at the start and two Fighting Hearts headline shows at the end. Um, Hoping to make some festival announcements over the summer,
brilliant.
and then I think the Fighting Hearts will probably go back out again in the autumn.
Mhm.
Um, so I want to try and promote the solo record as much as I can and tour it as much as I can.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, let's just hope this is up to the standards that you've had so far, because I mean, you've got a record to beat. The last few have
I
been.
feel pretty confident that it is. I mean, I'm proud of every record I've done, but
Yep.
this one felt really good, and I had a good time making it, and it's definitely the heaviest solo record I've made.
Oh, interesting.
Definitely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I have to say the Patsy Cline.
I'd say the track I did with Lita is probably much as I love that track to bits, and she's she's Lita Ford, she's amazing.
That is true.
The rest of the stuff on the album is definitely on the heavier side than that. So
Interesting. 'Cause, going back to Patsy Cline's probably my favorite of your solo albums, and a lot of that's
thank you.
actually quite light and melodic, and a lot of it's
Yeah,
acoustic. I
yeah,
think that's probably one of the reasons I like it. It's that bit different from the other stuff. So I'd be
yeah,
interested to hear you
yeah,
doing
yeah.
a particularly heavy solo album.
Yeah, I mean, there's no acoustic guitars on this album at all. This solo record, it's all full on band. Every song's full with full band,
Brilliant.
and that was a conscious decision. I've written a lot of acoustic stuff which I'm sitting on. I've probably got a couple of albums worth, and I'll address that at some point as well. I
Yeah.
would really like just to do at some point a really stripped back, just an acoustic album. And I plan to do that somewhere down the road.
Smashing. Ricky, I am so looking forward. So week on Saturday. Yeah, so a week and a half
Yes,
away.
indeed. Me too. Can't wait.
So I'm sure the people down in Cambridge and
Run
Wolverhampton
fast.
will enjoy their warm-up shows for the big event in Glasgow. And then I'll
We
tell you
should
right
be a
now,
well-oiled machine by the time we get to Glasgow.
and I'll tell you right now, I'm already looking forward to the 30th of November next year as well. I'm sure it'll be a blast.
Brilliant. Yep. Yep. I'm looking
Uh,
forward to that as well. So no, listen, it's great to be back out with the guys, and we're enjoying playing and we're enjoying each other's company, and long may it continue.
yeah, oh, absolutely. And if new stuff comes out, then brilliant. If not, you know what? You've got 7 albums worth of cracking material to pull from for a few shows a
Got a
year.
lot to choose
You
from.
can
We'll
play.
not be stuck, so it's okay.
Yeah. Well, have a very safe journey to Japan as well in the
Thanks,
new year.
Colin.
Have a great time there. I'm sure it'll be fantastic. And I'll see you in a week and a half.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Cheers.
Cheers, pal. Take care. See you,
Thank you.
man.
Bye. This episode is copyright The Moshful Times. Introductory music by Elliot Alderman Broom, and any music used throughout the episode is copyright to the original performers and creators.